a confirmation message on the comments box so I know we are ready to start. Very good. So it seems that we are ready to go. So let's begin. Today is the 2nd of April 2019. As I said a few minutes ago, my name is Jose Blasco. I'll be your guide. Today we're getting together to do short-term trading. So we're going to be looking at the AutoUFOs. We're going to be looking at the lower time frames. We're going to be looking at the futures markets. We're going to be looking at the Forex markets. And by doing all of this, we'll be looking for those opportunities for intraday trading, looking for high probability opportunities with a very well-controlled risk, enter those trades and collect the profits the most efficiently we can. That's the idea. Okay, before we start, of course, we have a disclaimer. So let's go over disclaimer very quickly. The following videos, clips, and demonstrations are for educational and instructional purposes only. Traditive provides this video purely for the purpose of demonstrating a method of using the product. Users understand that all the content used in the video is purely for demonstration purposes only and is not a guide and does not provide any indication or prediction of actual results. As a user, you understand and agree that hypothetical results obtained through the demonstration do not indicate in any way the results you may receive on using our products. Here we go. So we have it. I'm just here finalizing loading trade station. So we're going to be able to jump in the charts and begin our planning. So I got trade station loading on my other computer screen. The moment trade station is loaded, I will just move it into the main screen and we'll be able to start. How are you, my friends? Share a little bit with us. How is it going out there? I've been missing you. Normally we've been conducting sessions over Sundays, right? We have been doing sharpening sessions. Last Sunday we didn't have any session, and it's feeling like it's been a long time. We have not been together in the trading room. So good to see you all, guys. Happy moment and obviously ready to do what we love, which is to trade. Okay, let me check your comments on the comments box. Yeah, so it seems that everything is fine and we are ready to begin. Good, perfect. So again, let's begin our session for short-term trading today. We have a special week this week. We have multiple things lining up for the week. Today we're going to be doing short-term trading. Thursday we're going to be doing longer term trading. Then on Friday we'll get together again. We have a special session on Friday. I'll talk more about that later. And then finally on Sunday we'll get back into sharpening. And the reason why I'm making this comment as we start the day, it's because the Sunday session, when it comes to sharpening, it's going to be about what we're going to be doing today. Okay, so today we're going to be trading intraday. We're going to be looking for those opportunities. I'll be sharing some notes, like, you know, this Word document I normally have on the screen when I explain the trades and I talk about the combination of the time frames, the 15 and the 2, the 60 and the 5, etc. So I'll be obviously explaining what I'm doing, but I'm very excited about the Sunday session, because in that Sunday session, not only I will be explaining what we're doing, actually I'll get into many details and start putting rules in place to a much higher level that we have ever done. When it comes to short-term trading. We're going to be exploring the use of volume charts and activity charts such as tick charts, and we're going to be doing a lot of fancy stuff. And the best thing is that it's not only fancy, it's actually fancy, and it's going to make our trading more efficient, higher probability, with a better management of the trades, with a better reward to risk ratios. Again, it's going to be, I'm very excited for Sunday. Okay, so today, if you wish, is the last session that we're going to be doing for short-term trading, where I need to be switching back and forth between this Word document and the chart and things like that. After Sunday, we're going to be able to be even more efficient with our time when it comes to planning. Okay, good. Yeah, if the screen is blurry on your side, guys, it's because your YouTube is not refreshing at the highest resolution. So you may have noticed on the bottom part of YouTube there is like a little settings wheel. If you click on the settings wheel, normally it will give you access to change your resolution, and you can pick full HD, which is 1080. I am streaming at full HD, so you should receive full HD as well. Okay, cool. So anyway, so let's begin. We have the Nasdaq in front of us. It's 9:06 a.m. Eastern time. 9 minutes from now, it'll be 9:15, and that's important because if you look at what's happening in the bottom part of the screen, we have price, kind of challenging a little bit of the average here. Okay, there've been a few UFOs here earlier on where price came back into the UFO and from there shoot it back up as a reaction to the average, okay, going back up. So we had some possible trades that we could have executed since, let's say, 30 minutes to an hour ago, but right now what seems to be happening is that price, we don't have, by the way, let me activate the UFOs, we don't have any green UFO close by. Okay, and this moving average is being challenged, so I'm curious to see in 8 minutes from now, when this candle closes in the below 15-minute time frame, I'm curious to see if the close is going to be above or below the average. Because if it's below the average, we're going to be in a downtrend, and we're going to be looking for red UFOs above price. If the close is above the average, then we're going to be looking for green UFOs below price, which at the moment we don't have red, we don't have green in the 2-minute time frame. Okay, but remember, if you're new to this type of methodology, every 6 minutes, okay, you have to review that because it takes a minimum of 3 candles to form a UFO. And 3 times 2 equals 6 minutes. So the fact that we don't have a green or a red UFO now doesn't mean we're not going to have it 2, 4, or 6 minutes from now. Okay, so every 6 minutes we're going to be coming back and reviewing all of these. Okay, so if I look at the S&P, so ESM 19. Okay, and this is when I now begin the rotation process. I'm gonna keep rotating from market to market, from market to market. So we are in a very similar situation. Okay, where earlier here in the S&P, I cannot go back in time, but I was looking at the charts earlier, so that's how I know. There was a UFO more or less here. Okay, price came to where the UFO is, and you had a nice move going from UFO to UFO. And here it's kind of, I'm not sure if it was in this candle or that candle, but whatever that was, price went up, and that was a profitable trade you could have taken. Okay, but again, same as the Nasdaq, we are now looking at this moving average being a little more challenged with this wiki action below the average, and therefore we need to watch for that, and we're going to be able to know what the answer is in 6 minutes from now, which is going to be 9:15 a.m. Eastern time. Okay, so looking for that close every 15 minutes. Okay, so since the markets that we are currently using in our room for this combination of 15 and 5 are the S&P and the S&P futures and the Nasdaq futures, which, by the way, I'm just noticing I should rectify the bottom symbols here. ESM 19, NQM 19. We are basically done until 5 minutes from now, which is going to be 9:15 a.m. In the meantime, you can go ahead and, with the same markets or other markets such as spot forex, you can go ahead and run it using the 60 and the 5, the 200 and the 15, and looking again for intraday trades, which are going to be of a higher duration, because obviously the 15-minute time frame will produce bounces which normally last more than the 5-minute produces, and the 5-minute produces bounces that normally last more than what the 2-minute time frame produces. Okay, so but in any case, those 3 time frames with the yellow shaded color represent intraday trading in all cases. Okay, so very quickly see if we got something that we could plan so we can execute it afterwards. So what do we have here? Well, when you change the 60-minute time frame, of course, the moving average is recalculated to a different location, which in this case, that location happens to be let me move my window all the way to the left so you guys can read it. So my location here for the average is 2870. Okay, so 2870 is more or less here. Okay, But unfortunately with 2870, we don't have any green UFO on the chart. Okay, so again, this is a case where we need to be waiting, but again, every 3 candles, which in this case is 3 times 5, every 15 minutes, some new UFO may form. So you want to watch for this. Okay, what if we switch to the Nasdaq? So NQM19. Well, if we switch to the Nasdaq, we do have a red UFO that we didn't have on the S&P. So that's something to consider because it could be a good place where to take profits. But in the meantime, when looking at the average, we are looking at 74.98. 74.98 is more or less here. And again, if you look left, we have no green UFO at this price. So it's another case with the Nasdaq and the S&P. In both the 215 or the 560 combination, in both cases, we are in a waiting situation for both those combinations. Okay, so I still have 3 more minutes to go, so I'm going to take a look at the 240 and the 15 before I switch back to the 2-minute time frame, because the 15-minute time frame would have updated being 9:15 a.m. Eastern time. Okay, so very quickly, let's move to the 15-minute time frame above. Let's also move to the 240-minute below. Okay, and by the way, when you do this for yourself at home, probably you're using different computer screens, and it makes your life much easier. Okay, in this case, since I am broadcasting my screen, I have only one screen to work with, and I need to switch time frames and charts. Okay, so the moving average here is 74.79. So 74.79 is going to be somewhere around here. Again, we have no green UFO, so nothing to trade in these time frames with the Nasdaq and the S&P, which is going to be my last check before I go back to the smaller time frames. Well, in this case, almost, but we don't. Okay, so we have 28.62 is the average. Okay, and 62 is more or less at this level. Okay, and if you were to look at 62, we don't have anything on the left. Okay, the one UFO that we have is located a little higher than that, is 66. Okay, and unfortunately 66 happens to be above the average, and therefore you will not have the combination that we're looking for, like for example this candle here. Okay, this candle right there, where you can see, okay, that price basically reacted to the average, because the average often produces new set of on-field orders to be added in the market. And if you had a UFO at that time, so then you had the average helping you with potential on-field orders kicking in, and you have the UFO that is actually representing the orders that are already currently in the market. So that's what we're looking for. Okay, and therefore we don't have that possible setup with the Nasdaq and the S&P for now. Okay, for now. But remember, in let me see. So in no time, okay, which is gonna be 45 minutes, okay, because this is 9 a.m. You can see the closing time for this candle on the upper left is 9, and because it's the S&P Futures and it trades in the Chicago Mercantile Exchange, so the C means that we're exposed to Central Time. And 9 a.m. in Chicago is 10 a.m. in New York. It'll be 10 a.m. in New York in 45 minutes from now. So 45 minutes from now, we could go ahead and look at the 4-hour time frame average, which probably is higher, and then we may be able to use that UFO. We'll see. The 60-minute time frame would also obviously update because it's every 1 hour. Okay, but the one I want to check now, it's the 15-minute time frame. You can see we have an update on the 15-minute time frame where the prior close has been below the average. Okay, let me double check that by clicking and holding on the screen, and we can see that the average is 71. Okay, where the close is 71.75. Well, 71.75 is below 86. Okay, it's below 86. Therefore, we are technically in a downtrend based on this definition. So what we are looking for now is red UFOs. Okay, that's what we're looking for. We are looking for red UFOs to form. So hopefully we'll have a little bit of some lateral price action here. Okay, and then hopefully we'll have this market start falling and produce a red UFO around 78.71, which is right here. okay, it would be great. Okay, again, this may happen in less than 6 minutes, so we need to be watching for that. In the meantime, let's look at the S&P ESM19, Nasdaq NQM19, because with the Nasdaq we may have a similar setup, or maybe not. Actually, we don't with the Nasdaq. With the Nasdaq, we still have a close above, and we have a close above, but we have no green. Okay, so looking for red on the S&P, looking for green on the Nasdaq. We'll come back in 6 minutes to see if we have anything that have been produced for us. Okay, let me take a look at your questions before I keep going, guys. Okay. Mario says, sorry Jose, could you please remind me on how many candles you are using in your charts? Yeah, right now at the moment I am using 1,500. Just to be a little more fancy, I am actually using a Fibonacci number, which is 1,597. So the amount of candles on my chart happens to be a Fib number, which is not going to be a magic thing in this case. It's just a cute number, if you wish. So the reason why I'm picking this number is because, as you know, if you add too many candles on the chart, the AutoUFOs will be a little too intense for your TradeStation, given the fact that TradeStation is a 32-bit software. So one way to minimize the impact of too much processing power at the same time is to reduce the candles. To be honest, if I was to use 500 candles on the chart, it's more than enough. Look at that. Nothing has changed. Why? Because in this methodology, we are going with the trend, and therefore we're going to be waiting for some UFOs to form as an evidence that the trend is in place, and then we'll be joining the trend with the evidence. And, of course, if the candles were too far on the left, the trend may have changed. So therefore, again, as I was saying a minute ago, even 500, even maybe 200 candles is enough, okay? But to be precise, Mario, I am using 1,597 just because it's a cute number, okay? Let me go back to the S&P because I see price action, so we may have a red UFO forming or about to form. So this candle will close at 20. Right now it's 18, so this candle is going to close in 2 minutes, and we may have a UFO forming here. So I'm going to look at your questions, and I'm not going to switch chart because we may have a trade in less than 2 minutes. I may need to rush. Okay, actually I'm gonna load my chart here, and again I'm not gonna improvise. Okay, see if in 2 minutes when the candle closes, the app doesn't show us a red UFO, I will not take the trade. Okay, but I just want to be ready just in case. Okay, so I got my attach OSO, 2 limits, 1 stop on the left. I got my 2 contracts as a quantity. So I'm ready to do something here with the S&P. Okay, but I need to wait for the candle close and the potential UFO to form, or maybe not. More questions. Orlando, cannot find YouTube settings to fix the blurry issue. Well, I am looking on my side, Orlando, and I am 100% sure I am streaming at full HD 1080. So again, let me do this. Maybe this helps. Okay. So I just changed the settings for my YouTube to be blurry. Okay. So here's my YouTube, and it's blurry. Okay. So the little wheel is what I'm talking about. Quality here. Okay. You can pick 1080, and if you pick 1080. Okay, now it's neat. Okay, if you have a smaller, then it's gonna be blurry. Okay, so anyway, hopefully this helps. So more questions. Yes. Oh yes, I'm reading you guys that now you fix it. Perfect, good. Well, in the meantime, here we go. We got a red UFO that just formed. So we're gonna have to rush here. Price is inside the UFO actually. So let's do this quickly, but let's not go too fast. Okay, so the average is 72. Okay, good. So let's go ahead and enter the trade at 71.5. Okay, so I'm using the matrix to do that. Okay. Here we go. I may miss the trade here because it's already falling. Let's put this right here around 72.5. Here we go. That's my stop. So I'm risking 1 point. So I'm gonna make this to be 1 point. which is 75, and then the ultimate target. Okay, so I'm filled on the trade. Okay, and the ultimate target is gonna be down here. I'll make it 66. Okay, here we go. So we are in. Hopefully now we'll have the bounce we're expecting. If not, our predefined risk is very controlled. We are risking $100 in this trade. If it gets down by a couple more ticks, we're gonna be hitting our safety target, and we'll be out of the trade for for a very small profit, but that removes 100% the risk of the trade, and then we'll just let the trade happen. You probably remember that I said that before. When we do these trades right around the open, normally, it could be that with the volatility that is normally injected as the market opens, we just hit our safety target, guys, so we are out of risk. This trade cannot lose anymore. Okay, we are out of risk. And by the way, hopefully I'm not the only one executing it, even though it was very tight, and you had to really rush to place the order in, but hopefully you guys were ready, and at least some of you are in the trade. Please let me know if that's the case. Okay, but at the moment, if you're in the trade, even if this market now was to completely turn around and go all the way against you, and you were to be stopped out, you would not lose. Why? Because the loss would be 50, but you have already collected 50 with the first contract. We are left with one contract only. You can see the 1 next to STM or the 1 next to L means that you have one contract in the trade. Okay, so we are in a trade that is risk free, and now we are just gonna let this thing do its thing like we did last week. One important observation here is the fact that what I was just going to say, which I remember I said that last week too, which is when we do these trades right around the open, it is pretty normal, it could happen often, that the market is doing its normal thing when it comes to the process of opening, where there is a pretty strong fight at the open, and then the market starts moving very fast in one direction. Or that day it's one of those very boring days, but even though it may be one of those very boring days, the market ends up doing this very kind of like a little bit of an aggressive thing at the open, where there is this massive fight where all the order flow kicks in, and it could very, very well be, when you do these trades at this time of the day, that you very quickly get stopped out. Okay, whenever you get into the trade. So if that happens to you, well, there are two ways to deal with this. If you don't like that feel where you get stopped out too quick, okay, because the other side of this, of course, is that you get to your safety target very quick, like it just happened. Okay, so I personally am very happy with it, but again, it's all about traders' personality. So let's say you don't like it. Well, if you don't like it, okay, it's very simple. You either do the same type of trade with a higher time frame, don't do 215, do it with a higher time frame if you do it at this time of the day, or simply don't do it, because at the beginning of the day you will have this type of price action because the market opens and there is a huge massive order flow kicking in, where many orders are to buy, many orders are to sell, and you have that fight at the opening. Okay, but again, I personally appreciate it, I personally love it, because if you're gonna be stopped out, I'd rather be stopped out quickly, so I replan a new trade quickly, and instead of being stuck in a trade and nothing's happening for a while, so I know if I was right or wrong quickly, so I get into a new trade quickly. I prefer that, and if you happen to be right, like we did last week, we had a fantastic trade. It was a 5-to-1. We missed the target by one tick, if you recall, but still we collected a 5-to-1. If we didn't miss the target by one tick, it would have been, I didn't do the math, but maybe it was like a 7-to-1 or something like that, and it happened in no time, right? Because that's the beauty of those trades right at the open, that if the market is going to be one of those moving days and you catch it from the beginning, normally, if you're right on the trade, it gets to your target quite efficiently. Okay, so just know the pros and the cons. Everything in life got pros and cons, guys, and trading is nothing different, and therefore the pro is that if you're right, you make all this profit very quickly, and if you're wrong, you may have a little bit of challenging price action at the beginning. Okay, and now it's when traders' personality comes into place. As you can see now, look at how boring this price action is, right? Why? Everybody's waiting for the market to open in 4 minutes. Okay, so it's, if you are new to trading especially, it's sometimes in this situation it's difficult to sit in your hand. You saw your $100 profit, then you took your first bid, which was $50 of profit, then you were making another 62.5, now it's back to 12, 25, and if you're looking at this, and especially if you are new to trading, probably your mindset is a little bit all over the place. Okay, so just know that you have to follow the plan. It's about being professional and follow the rules, and a normal consequence of this time of the day is what I just explained. Okay, so if you like it, go for it. If you don't like it, then you either use a higher time frame, which is going to make the trade to be more relaxed, or just don't do it now. Just wait for the market to open and do it 30 minutes later, okay, which is also valid. Let me see. Yeah, Orlando, you missed it. Dirk, you missed it by one tick. Yeah, to be honest, I feel for that because yeah, it's a shame. But at the same time, it was one of those days where we had to rush to place the order in. Okay, and it's okay. I think it's still a valid opportunity, and at least as an example, I think it's valid. Okay. Yes, absolutely, Vasily. Yeah, doing cash market hours is perfect time to trade. Okay, so anyway, so I'm gonna leave this trade alone. 3 minutes from now, the market will open. So certainly, it would be useful as well from that learning point of view to look at the initial price action. Okay, to see that speeding process. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to leave the upper chart the way it is, so we can see the market open. Okay, see what happens. And in the bottom part of the screen, and right now we have a little bit of a bad news, as you can see. Okay, we have a green UFO just formed. Okay, green UFO just formed. And the red UFO disappeared, and it didn't disappear because of an anomaly. It's because the app understands that too many orders have been filled, and therefore that red UFO is not high probability anymore, and therefore it's no point of leaving it on the screen because it does not represent high odds, right? So we'll talk about that on Sunday, by the way, because these are the times when a UFO disappears and things like that. That's when we could add some extra trade management rules, where maybe you move the stop to break even, or you do certain things. Okay, so today I'm just going to leave it the way it is. Okay, I'm not going to do anything else, but we'll certainly talk about that on Sunday. So it'd be great, guys, that you guys join, especially live. It would be great because that way you can ask your questions. Okay, but anyway, 28, so 2 minutes for the market open. So I'm gonna switch the time frame below only. So I start looking at the 60-minute time frame. So in the 60-minute time frame, it's looking like the S&P will remain in an uptrend. Therefore, in the 4-hour time frame, the S&P will very, very likely also remain in an uptrend. Okay, so we're gonna be able to plan on longs while we are short on the 2-minute time frame. We'll be able to plan on long trades. Okay, 1 minute from now. Okay, 1 minute from now. So I'm just gonna wait 1 minute. Okay, come back to the 15-minute time from here. I'll be curious to see as well what happens with the close, because the close is gonna be challenging on the 15 too. It may close above, it may close below. Having a close above the average while the prior close was below the average could also be a reason for you to use trade management techniques and move stop to break even or things like that. Okay, could be. So again, we'll talk about that on Sunday, but I do want to point at it because it's not too often that we have the chance to see two closes above and below the average, next to each other at the same time. Okay, so we had the market just opened. The close took place 71.86. Wait a minute, the market hasn't opened yet. Okay, the market is opening now. Yes. So the close is 72 and the average is 71. So we have a close above the average. Okay, we have a close above the average. So we have a change of trend condition. Okay, again, there are different ways on how to deal with this. Today, I'm just gonna leave it alone. That's what I said. But you could have acted here and use certain rules to move stop to break even or scale out or close the trade manually to keep that $50 plus 25 that we have now, keep a $75 profit because you have a trend change, at least in this time frame. Okay, so again, I'm gonna leave it alone, and whatever happens, happens. Okay, because I don't have rules, and therefore I don't want to confuse you. Okay, but let's switch now to the Nasdaq, because the Nasdaq was in upper time frame, in an uptrend. Now the Nasdaq seems to be pushing down very, very heavily. We didn't have a green UFO, so therefore no action to be taken. So we'll come back in 15 minutes here. Not in 6, we'll come back in 50 minutes because obviously we are changing trend here, but we cannot call it a downtrend yet until we have an official close, and that's going to happen in 15 minutes. Okay, so waiting for the change of trend on the Nasdaq. This may end up being good for our S&P trade. Yes, it is indeed. So what we'll do here is that we'll now wait for new red UFOs to form. Okay, new red UFOs to form. And we'll then start moving the target. So another rule that I gave you last week is that when you get to double the profit you have already made, okay, which is the case, then you can move your stop to break even. Okay, so I'm moving my stop to break even here on this trade with the S&P. And by the way, nice to see that red is now forming, even though this red is too high. So hopefully we'll have new red UFOs forming and we'll have price travel all the way to the final target. Okay, so again, this is the beauty of what I was talking about early on. The challenge of entering trades right at the open is that it may be wiki, it may be boring, it may be violent, it may stop you out quickly, whatever. You really don't know what's going to happen until it happens. But the beauty is that if you have a trade setup that makes sense with the UFOs, with the average, with the risk, with the reward, with everything, and the market opens and pushes your way, that normally is, basically you're going to do one trade and you're done for the day and that's it, So I personally, again, like it very much, but again, it's all about trader psychology, okay? So we'll leave this trade alone, okay? We'll leave this trade alone. I'll come back in a few minutes to talk more about management, even though I'm eager for Sunday, as I said a million times, so I can actually add a few more rules and then we can implement them and really do a good job all together, okay? Good. Very good. So I'm looking at your notes as well. All good. Perfect. So what else? Good. So let's switch to the 5-minute time frame and the 60 in the case of the S&P and the Nasdaq. Okay. So in the 5-minute time frame, we got nothing. Okay. So we are challenging this average as well in the 60, not only the 15. But we don't have a green UFO, so nothing to plan on the Nasdaq, on the S&P. What about the Nasdaq? So switching to the Nasdaq futures. When looking at the Nasdaq futures, we can see here that we have, the average is 79.97. The UFO that we have though has been traded through. Okay. So this UFO does not qualify as a valid trade, and it's still on the screen because the candle hasn't closed. But the moment the candle closes, okay, the moment the candle closes, then you will see that green UFO go away automatically, okay. And therefore, if we were to plan on going long, it seems to me, oh, I just typed the wrong time frame. It seems to me I wanted to type 15 above and 240 below. So it seems to me that if we're going to be planning on long trades for the Nasdaq and the S&P, this is something that we will need to do on the 240-minute time frame. And as you can see, we are above the average, but around 74, 78, even though we have a new calculation of the average, which is a new one. Okay, notice how this candle, actually this is going to be in 30 minutes from now, 25 minutes from now. So I'll come back to this one. Sorry, guys. So back to the 2-minute time frame just to see if we have any opportunity to manage our trade with the S&P, and I'm going to move into Forex. Yeah, so we didn't have any new red UFO form, but this is moving too far too fast. I saw earlier this hitting 150, so I'm going to move this to 50. So locking on little extra profits here. Okay, we will need one more push. That's what we need. Okay, and we will get to our target. It's 68. We just need a couple of points. That should be quite easy. Okay, and by the way, the market is quite strong. I'm just noticing, because I did it quickly earlier, that my target is actually not very well located. I located at 66. I'm leaving one tick of profit here, so I'm just gonna move it one more tick down. Here we go. Right before the green UFO. By mistake I just left it a little too far. Okay, good. So we're in. So yes. So the rule, the rule for the safety target, it's 1-to-1. So because my entry was up here and my stop was 1 point above, then my safety target one was 1 point below. But the only reason for me to use a safety target is to remove the risk of the trade, so I can now go and execute other trades without adding risk to my account. That's simple. Of course, you hurt the reward to risk ratio a little bit, but in the end, if you think about it, I didn't really hurt the reward to risk ratio, because think about it, this trade is gonna make $287.5 for us, plus the $50 we already made. That is $337. And what's the most I could have lost? It was 100. So this trade was a 3-to-1 actually. So the safety target allows you to remove the risk of the trade very quickly. And therefore, now if you're wrong, it doesn't hurt you. And even if you're going to end up being right, now you can run multiple trades at the same time without increasing portfolio risk. Okay, so that's quite powerful, guys. Anyway, so hey, let's move to the Forex markets. So to move to the Forex markets, we're going to begin with the euro. Okay, so let me get my euro symbol here. Remember, I showed you that earlier as well. Okay, with the euro, with the spot forex, we are not going to use the combination of 15 and 2. I'll talk more about that on Sunday, but for now we're going to go for 5 and 60. So 5 above, 60 below. So what do we have? So 5 above, 60 below. Well, the prior close was, let me see if it was above or below, I'm not sure. The close was 12.05, the average 12.03. So the close was above, so we are technically in an uptrend with the euro. Unfortunately, we don't have green UFOs, so nothing to do with the euro in that time frame. So quickly, with no wasted time, we go for the pound. And with the pound, we are in a downtrend, but we are now hitting the average. But unfortunately, there is no red UFO at current price, so no trade with the pound. So moving to the Aussie, looking at the Aussie dollar, we are in a downtrend, okay, and 70.79. Well, guess what? We do have a red UFO right there. Now, I have a good news and a bad news for the Aussie trade. The bad news is that we have a green UFO right there. So if we catch the move to the downside and the downtrend continues, the bad news is that we're going to hit the green UFO, and therefore the downtrend may change and become uptrend. So that's a bad news. But I'm still going to plan the trade, and the reason why is because I was going to set a safety target at 1-to-1 anyway, and 1-to-1 it's going to be around the green UFO. Okay, therefore I'll be happy to do so. And I'll be happy to execute this trade with the Aussie. Okay, so it's not the best, okay, but it's gonna be okay. In any case, before I do it, if I was to find a better one, then I would do the better one. So let me switch to Kiwi. So New Zealand US dollar. We have 67.68. Well, this one is better. Okay, so I'm not gonna do the Aussie. I'm gonna do the Kiwi trade. Because I don't have the green, so I have more room for the Kiwi to fall more than the Australian dollar, at least potentially, and therefore I'm gonna pick one, because if I was to pick the two together, I would be using correlated trades in my portfolio, and I would be increasing the portfolio risk. Okay, so I rather take one, and even though I was going to take the Aussie, the Kiwi, it happens to be a better one. So I'll come back to the Kiwi in a minute. Let me very quickly check on Swissy. The Swiss franc got no red. We're in a downtrend. What about the yen? Japanese yen. We haven't closed below yet, so I'll have to come back in 20 minutes time to see the close for the yen. And for the loonie, the CAD, we are in an uptrend, but I have no green. Okay, so yeah, so my best trade here, it's going to be the Kiwi trade. But very quickly before I do it, I can see on the right side of my screen the S&P is pushing, so we may have an opportunity to move our stop in case some new UFO was formed. No new UFO has formed, but again, it's moving. So I'm gonna move my stop one more time to 100, locking on more profits here, little by little. Okay, and we are again 2 points away, more or less 2 points away, 2.5 points away from the target. Okay, good. So back to the Kiwi. So hopefully I'm not confusing you too much as I switch back and forth from charts, but hey, this is trading. So hopefully you guys are with me. I got the New Zealand dollar, US dollar. The bottom time frame is showing me 60%. Amazing UFO performance stats. Okay, amazing UFO performance stats. Again, we gotta take it easy. This is spot forex, so the data feeds provided by brokers, you know, sometimes they are more accurate than others. So, but in any case, it's nice to see. Nice figure. Yeah. So let's go for the trade. Okay. So what do we have? Well, we're gonna plan on a short, and therefore, in order to plan this short, the way to do it would be to have a protective stop above the red UFO. So I need to identify what number would that be. We're gonna have a short entry lining up with the UFO, which will also be lining up with the moving average. Okay, then we'll have below at 1-to-1 a safety target to remove the risk of the trade, so we don't add portfolio risk. Okay, and finally, we need to look at where the final target should be. Okay, for this trade. Okay, so now remember, this is spot forex. So sometimes spot forex can be a little tricky in the sense that there is no exchange, and no exchange means that what we chart when we use the symbol NZDUSD, what we chart is the bid price. Okay, and the bid price is what you get when you sell. But when you buy from the sellers, and the sellers are asking. So how do I change the symbol to the ask? Well, I'm going to use NZDUSD, but then I will add .A. If I add .A, TradeStation will understand that we are now looking at the ask price. Okay, so NZDUSD.A, and I want to look at that particular one for my stop. Okay, so let's take a look at the stop. Let's begin with the stop. By the way, notice how I don't have a red UFO, okay, in the .A. Why is that? Well, this has a lot to do with, you know, the wickiness which is characteristic to forex, which is non-centralized. So normally, if I was to change my setting from hide hit UFOs true to false, if I was to do that, normally now I would have a collection of UFOs that appear in front of me. Now it's gonna be a little challenging here because the UFO I'm shooting for is that one, you know, the one right here. But notice how there is a huge amount of overlapping of UFOs on top of each other. So when you have a situation like that, my friends, you have to go for the highest value, because you don't want to see yourself being stopped out and then it turns around one tick later and one pip later and it goes all the way to your target. Okay, so what is the highest price here? Well, the highest price here is 87. 67.87 is the right value of the top rectangle. Okay, so 87 is going to be the location for my stop. Okay, so keep in mind 87. Getting the settings back to true. So coming back to the NZDUSD. So back to my protective stop, and even though here it says 70, we're gonna have to use 0.6787. That's gonna be the location for the stop. Okay, so really I'm gonna have to edit a little bit the text to make it a little more realistic on your screen. 87 is more somewhere up there. Okay, I'll adjust the scaling later on. Okay, so then what do we have? Well, the entry, okay, the entry, which is gonna be this one guy, is 65. Okay, so 65 is the red UFO, and the entry I'm gonna use the price from the bid, because when I sell I get the bid. So 67.65, that's gonna be my entry. Okay, so that's the trade that we are planning. Okay, let me save. And very quickly, since a few minutes have passed, I want to go back to the 2-minute time frame, and I want to go back to ESM19 to see if any red UFO has formed, giving me the opportunity to move my stop further down. I don't have any red UFO forming. This is always the worst case scenario, which by the way happens often right at the open, because as I said, when the market opens, price normally moves very quickly, and therefore it doesn't leave residual unfilled orders behind. It's just like price movement, everything gets filled, and price moves. So we don't have red UFOs, and therefore the trailing stop that I've been applying is based on rules of price movement, which don't have anything to do with UFOs. So I'm going to do it again, because again, the risk, I could be stopped out and then I would collect, a $200 full of profit. I'll take it. It's a 2-to-1. But if it in the end, the market end up turning, you may have heard of a theory that suggests that 30 minutes after the open, typically the market will turn. It's not exactly 30 minutes, could be 20 minutes, could be 40 minutes. So we may have an uptrend to develop. Remember, in certain other time frames, we saw the S&P still in an uptrend. So, you don't want to be too hopeful, and therefore I'm moving my stop one more time, even though now my risk is to be stopped out by one tick. But if that's the case, I'll take it. Okay, good. So going back to the 5-minute time frame and the New Zealand dollar trade, the Kiwi. And by the way, I know that some of you don't trade spot forex, you trade futures. You can take a look at the New Zealand futures contract, okay, and it'll be different prices, but you could certainly plan the same trade that I am planning. So you could kind of like replicate what I'm doing, and plan the trade yourself with different values, but kind of replicate the same process. You could certainly do that, okay? So what do we have? Well, now I'm going to have to look at my targets. And remember, the safety target, it's mathematically calculated. If my stop is 67.87 and my entry is 67.65, that's 22 pips. So I'm going to project 22 pips below 67.65, which is my entry, and that will give me a safety target of 43. Okay, so 67.43, okay, is going to be my safety target. By the way, we have just hit our exit stop on the right chart, on the right window, on the matrix window. You can see the trade I had running is over, which means that we have hit our stop. Okay, so it's a nice one because it was a trailing stop. It was not a protective stop. Okay, it's a different thing to have a protective stop versus having a trailing stop. And out of curiosity, let's go take a look at the 2-minute time frame of the S&P, and here we can see, okay, if I zoom in a little more, okay, we can see the trade. Okay, so the trade went from here to here, okay, and therefore if I was to look at a little bit of stats here, so basically we've been in a 28-minute trade. It's been 14 bars. 30-minute trade, okay, we collected 3 full points, and we made a 2-to-1. Okay, so making a 2-to-1 out of catching a 3-point move, which is really a very tiny move, it's pretty nice. Okay, so again, a good one, and also good one to be out, because look at what's happening below. In 10 minutes we'll have a new close of the average. Okay, but notice that we may be again in that situation where now the average, well, actually this is the 60 minutes, sorry guys, let me switch to the 15, because when we do the 5 it needs to be 15. So well, then I haven't said it correctly, okay, because the picture that we had on the other time frame of the video was different. So we are still below the average. Okay, so we're in a downtrend on the S&P, so potentially it may go much lower, but at the same time, we don't have any red UFO close by. We made our 2-to-1. We managed our risk, okay? And that's the way to trade, guys, okay? So, hey, let's finish this trade with the Kiwi. NZDUSD. So, let's load the 60 and the 15. Very good. So 60 and 15, here we go. So now, so we have the entry short, we have the protective stop, which, I may need to do something like that, so it's a little more visual on your end. So actually 87 is more or less there. Yeah, well, the scale is not the best with the text, but it's something like that. So we got equal distance, okay, equal distance from stop to entry and entry to safety target. That's what I meant to visually represent. And then now the final question that we have is, okay, so where are we going to take profit? So I'm zooming out all the way. I'm, moving my chart up, and notice I have nothing green below. Okay, and this is just because in the 5-minute time frame you got nothing below. Okay, and you could do two things here. You can change the settings, and instead of using 1,597 candles, okay, you can use more. But now, especially during market hours, you run into the problem where TradeStation may freeze and stuff because the 32-bit architecture it's a little limitative here. So what you would do, another way to think about it, is to switch to higher time frames. So if I go to 15, okay, I go from 5 to 15, I got nothing below. If I go to the 60, I now have something below, which is where price is. Okay, well, obviously, since price is here, and I'm going to have a safety target, okay, then I'm going to shoot for the next one. Okay, and the next one, that will be my target, and the next one is 67.15. Okay, 67.15. So I would want my final target to be 0.6715. Okay, that's the idea. So let me go back to the 5-minute time frame. Okay, and let me try to adjust this in a way that is visually nice for you guys, so you can take a screenshot, so that way you can replicate this trade on your computer screen and you can execute it for yourself. Okay, so yeah, I think this scale would do. So 87 is more or less there, 65 is more or less here, safety target 43 is more or less here, and 15 is more or less there. So that would be the type of trade that we are planning to catch. We are waiting for this market to come to the entry. The moment it comes to the entry, it may go your way, it may go against you. It should go your way because of all the parameters of the trade, and therefore we'll be shooting to reach that initial target. The moment we reach that initial target, you don't care if it goes back up or what, okay? But ultimately, okay, we would expect the downtrend to continue and finally to reach the final target, okay? And that's the trade that we have in front of us. That's an opportunity in front of us that is a valid one, and if you like it, that's the time for you to take a screenshot, okay? And of course, you are the one who needs to decide if you want to execute the trade or not. You are the one who needs to decide if you want to use real capital or paper money in this trade. And also related to your size, how many lots, mini lots, micro lots you want to use in this trade. Okay, but the opportunity is there, and you can also replicate this trade in the futures markets, as I said before. Good. Thanks very much for your comments, Dirk, on the S&P trade, and also when it comes to the safety target, when it comes to the final target for the New Zealand dollar trade, it has been taken from the 60-minute time frame. Okay, this is in the end how I found the target. And by the way, I'm just realizing. Thank you guys for keeping me a little bit on my toes here. I'm just realizing that I made a mistake because the final target is a buy order, and therefore I need to use the .A chart, okay, which I didn't. So I'm going to use the 60-minute time frame of the .A chart, okay, and we said it was going to be 67.15, but notice how it's not going to be 15, it's going to be 18, okay, and that I know it thanks to the .A chart, which earlier I forgot to switch. Okay, so let me go back. If you have taken a screenshot, please be ready to redo your screenshot, because it's going to be about almost the same. Okay, it's going to be almost the same, but the only thing that is going to change is that instead of 67.15, it's going to be 67.18, given the fact that it's spot forex. Okay. Good. Perfect. Okay. So guys, 5 minutes for for the market to produce a new 50-minute candle, a new 60-minute candle, and a new 240-minute candle. So I want to get ready for this. Okay, I guess that you all took your screenshot. So I am back now in futures trading mode. Okay, I am back in futures trading mode. I want to go back to my ESM19, and I'm going to start looking at what may be happening in those time frames. So in the 5 and the 60, I'm going to start with the 5 and the 60 because you know, in less than 5 minutes we have a new 60-minute time frame close. So we'll know if this market is going to close above or below the average. So notice that we don't know yet. It's going to be challenging, maybe above, maybe below. If it's below, we'll be looking for new red UFOs to form, and we will be ready to start planning on shorts. We don't know yet with the S&P. What about the NASDAQ? With the NASDAQ, it's looking a little clearer, not clear yet, but a little clearer that we may be in a downtrend just because it's a little below the average. Okay, so we have a little bit higher chance of closing below if you wish, but I have the same situation with the 60-minute and the 5, where we do not have any red UFO close by lining up with 74.97, which is the value for this exponential average. Okay, so we're gonna have to wait for the close and see what happens. And remember, in this time frame, if see what happens means that we're gonna have no UFO, then you review every 15 minutes, because every 15 minutes you may have a new UFO. Okay, cool. So yeah, I'm reading your comments, Dirk. So Dirk said, yes, there is sometimes a big difference between the bid and the ask chart. I am using Oanda, and there is a button to change it quickly. Yes, with Oanda and any broker that uses MT4, for example, or many brokers that have own platforms, but they are Forex brokers, so the only thing they do is Forex. Or CFDs outside of the US, many times you will have that button that you refer to. Okay, so it's the same thing. In TradeStation, you just change the symbol. Okay, that's it. So now, good. So I'm just looking at the time. 3 minutes. Okay, it seems the market is pushing. Hopefully, we'll have a UFO forming here. So in the meantime, let me switch to the 15-minute time frame. 15-minute time frame above. 240-minute below, because we're gonna have a new update for those time frames in just a few minutes. So the 4-hour time frame is still showing that very likely the close is gonna be above the average. So we're gonna be in an uptrend. Again, unfortunately, we don't have a green UFO. So that means that you'll have to come back if you want to trade this time frame, and every 45 minutes you'll be coming back to review if a new green UFO has formed and it happens to be lining up with 74.77, and that would be the condition for you to take the trade. So we don't have that with the NASDAQ, with the S&P. So what happened with the S&P? With the S&P, we have the same situation, okay, where we are still, you know, in an uptrend, but no green UFO lining up with 28.62. Okay, so you will need to come back every 45 minutes to check. Okay, so it seems that I will not be able to plan anything on the 240/15-minute time frames. I'm going to switch to 60 and 5 because we are less than 1 minute away from 10 a.m. Eastern time. So we're going to get to see what's going to happen with the trend. It seems that we did very well trailing stop, isn't it? Because, you know, price went a couple of points above our exit, so we are in a much better position now. So let me see what is going to happen here. We are like 5 to 10 seconds away from a new candle forming in the bottom part of the chart. Oops. So come on, candle. Here we go, new candle. So we are in an uptrend. We had a close above the average. We are looking for green, and guess what? We got green. Okay, we got green right now. So it's actually time to take the trade. I'm just gonna go market. Here we go. I'm in. So stop needs to be around 68, 67, 75, something like that. So safety target will be around here as well. That's it. I got my entry, stop, and safety target. All of this is set up. Okay. And what I need to do now is to have, again, a quick one, guys. Okay. And good news, price is still in the UFO, so you still have the chance to enter the trade if you are with me. And now we need to look at the target. So for target purposes, I'm just gonna scroll out. So we got nothing in the 15, nothing in the 60, in the 240. Now we got stuff, but of course I'm gonna have to use a continuous symbol because now we are looking at something pretty far away. Okay. So it seems to be a pretty major fight. You know, this is another key time of the day. A pretty major fight. You know, some people want it to be an uptrend. Some institutions are pushing it down. So pretty major fight. We'll see what happens. So this UFO is located at 29.75. So 29.0075. Yeah. So we've been out. We've been taken out from this trade, guys. So this one ended up, didn't give me time to place my final target, but take a look how price went beyond the green UFO, and therefore we're out. Okay, so hey, you know, we had 67% probability to have it. We were playing this change of trend, and you know, sometimes the trend will clearly change. Sometimes you have a little bit of wiki action like that, and when that's the case, you'll take one or two stop outs. Okay, so part of trading, my friends. You can certainly keep planning trades, you know, following the very same method, because as the trend defines, you will know what to do. Now, in this case, in this combination of time frames with 60 and 5, you need to wait 1 hour to plan the next trade, because this market seems to be developing a new downtrend where we thought mechanically we determined it was an uptrend, but now it seems to be proven that the trend is going to change. Some new institution stepped in a few minutes away, and you know, they've been changing the trend. Okay, so of course we're going to have to be respectful of that fact. So what about the Nasdaq? What do we have with the Nasdaq? Should be similar. Actually, it's different. With the Nasdaq, we still have the close below the average, so we are still in a downtrend. So you are looking for red. So just watch it. We need to conclude the session here, so we will not be able to do it together, but just to give you further instruction, just look for UFOs forming, you know, red UFOs forming above price, and the moment they line up with the average, okay, which is 74.94, which is going to be more or less here, okay, you know, be ready to take the trade. Okay, that's exactly what we did earlier with the winning trade we had. Okay, and in the prior case, we just taken a losing trade, but I've been doing exactly the same thing. The only difference is that it was a change of trend, where in this case you are dealing with a trend continuation. Okay, so we'll talk about those rules as well on Sunday, because some of you that may be more conservative, okay, you may want to have a rule which is to not to trade with the very next candle when you have a trend change. So here was uptrend, it became downtrend, so you would avoid trading in the next candle. That could be a rule. To me, it's not needed to be that conservative. I'm okay assuming certain level of risk as long as it's limited on the size. But again, this is about traders' mindset, and therefore on Sunday when we do the sharpening session, I'll be giving you a set of rules where many times I will be giving you options. I'll say, okay, this rule is applicable if you want to do this. This rule is applicable if you are this type of trader, and then you will end up constructing your set of rules. Okay, and then we'll be applying them together. Okay, guys. So be ready for a little bit of, you know, different possibilities in those rules. Okay, so very quick. I'm going to have a last check before we conclude the session. I am switching now to the 2 and the 15-minute time frames to look at what our trends. In the 15-minute time frame, we are still in a downtrend. So, you know, unfortunately, we don't have any red UFO. It's kind of funny. You know, all the UFOs that are red are gone. The only things we have on the Nasdaq are green. With the S&P, okay, with the S&P, in the end, if we had stayed in the trade, we would have got to our target. It went from UFO to UFO. Hey, This is trading, my friends. Everything in life got pros and cons. Still very happy with the trade. Okay, many other times. Let's face it. There was only one red UFO above. So if this UFO had been traded through, it would have been a very, very powerful uptrend for a very, very beautiful profit. So it was worth it. But it's not the case. So what do we have? The prior close was, I believe, above, right? Let's see. So 7105 and the close 7100. Okay, so yeah, for 0.05, okay, we were in a technical uptrend, and then it moved in the opposite direction in the 15-minute time frame. Okay, so that's what we have. Okay, so again, you know the method. You've seen two actions today and one extra application with the New Zealand dollar. So hopefully all of this is making sense, and hopefully all of this it's helping you. If you cannot do Sunday session, guys, it will be recorded, but if you could make time to join, of course, family time, it's more important that UFO time. Time with the family is more important than time with the alien. So I'm not sure it's a good joke, but definitely it would be important, guys, that you join us on Sunday, because if you watch it recorded, the only thing you're going to be missing is the opportunity to ask your own questions. And it may be important that you ask your own questions, because let me ask you this question before we conclude. How many of you and with us today, please give an answer in the comments box with a quick yes or no. How many of you have a fully finalized trading plan that you are 100% happy with, and you don't need to tweak or change any rule, and you are completely happy with? Okay, if that's the case, just type yes, and if it's not the case, type no, because if no is your answer, which I would guess that probably is the majority of your answers, because let's face it, even if you have an amazing plan, it's still good to kind of look at what other traders are doing, because it may give you a couple extra ideas on how to make your plan even better. Remember, trading is like a sport, right? You can always get a little better, right? It's not a sure thing, right? It's all about stacking odds in your favor, managing risk. So getting to look at how other traders will do is normally helpful. Okay, I personally, even though I've been trading for a collection of years at this time, I personally am always looking for this balance between being confident of what I do, but also being humble enough to always be ready to learn a little more. Okay, so never close the door to that, I would say, right? So that's why I think that this session on Sunday could be impactful for you, no matter how experienced you are. So attending live would be ideal. Okay, but if it's not possible, it'll be recorded, guys. Okay, and then you can always shoot an email, and certainly they'll forward it to me, and I'll be happy to answer your questions. Obviously, it's not the same to answer a couple of paragraphs compared to share the screen and use the microphone and go over multiple examples to give you a proper answer. It's much more powerful. Okay, so if you could make it live, join us. Oh, and by the way, I almost forgot. Friday, guys. Friday. So Friday, we're excited. Okay, we are very excited about Friday. Let me share my screen here very quick. Let me share our website. So you've seen this before. This is nothing new. I am now clicking on Get Together. You've seen this before. This is nothing new. But take a look at what we have here. Okay, we have a special session on Friday. By the way, I'm just realizing we made a little mistake here. It's not 9 a.m. So we need to correct this. It is not 9 a.m. It's 10 a.m. guys. Okay, so please correct that. It's 10 a.m. Okay, 10 a.m. Eastern time on Friday, April 5. Okay, we are gonna be running a very special session. Let me say that again, which is gonna be to introduce you to our new AutoUFO technology. And what does that mean? Well, that means that we have created a new version of the app, and it's the same app, okay, in the sense that on-field orders is on-field orders. Actually, our technology was first built in 2009. So I mean, this has been running in the markets for a long time, and it's proven to work. It's nothing new. But from a technological point of view, we've developed that same technology, that same algo has been developed with a different environment, which is outside of TradeStation, and therefore now it's gonna be compatible with all brokers, no matter the broker that you use. There are many countries around the world where TradeStation is not available. Like for example, I'm thinking of Canada, and there are many more. Or even TradeStation is, I love TradeStation, don't get me wrong, but for example, you could not execute Forex in TradeStation. So, everything in life got pros and cons, and every tool, no matter the tool, has advantages and disadvantages. So we are launching a new tool. It's amazing. It does the same that the one in TradeStation does, but it has some, let's call it different functionality that I'll be delighted to demonstrate on Friday when the tool is formally introduced, and then we'll give you access to user guides and everything, so you know how to use it for yourself as well, okay, if you choose to do that, okay? So join us live as well on Friday. Remember, it's 10 a.m., not 9 a.m., it's 10 a.m. Eastern Time. Again, join us. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be eye-opener, and I cannot wait. Okay, so hopefully you are also looking forward to look at our new little baby. It's gonna be impactful, guys. Okay, but anyway, guys, good job, and see you on Thursday for the longer term. See you on Friday to introduce you to our newer baby. And see you on Sunday as well for the sharpening, guys. Okay, so exciting week ahead, guys. See you then. Bye bye, everybody.